Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Tiny Brains podcast. I am Kevin Joyce, CEO at Tiny Brains, and with me I have Peter Graham, the Brigadier of Brains.
Hello all.
So, as you probably know by now, every week we take a talk through some of the top stories in the XR industry from the previous week, and today we're going to jump straight in with MetaConnect. Now, MetaConnect is a big annual event that happens over in California, hosted by Meta to talk about Meta. It's amazing. I love it. I've been other than outside of COVID, I've been to every week, every year except one of them, which was nice. Right back from the start when it was in Los Angeles, it's now held as everything is in Northern California. I believe it's San Jose again this year. Um,
Yes.
but the news is it is.
Well, yeah. All they've done at the moment last week is confirm the dates that it's coming in September on across the 25th and the 26th. So that's something to put in your calendar. Because normally it jumps between September and October. Sometimes it's late October, isn't it? And sometimes they have it in September. So this year it's a little bit earlier in the season. So yeah, but they've not announced anything. They've not said, "Oh, we're going to talk about this," because they never do.
So normally at this show, you get a little bit of hardware, a little bit of software, a little bit of firmware updates, and all sorts of bits and pieces from across the meta scope. So it's normally a good one to be involved in. And if you can attend, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Well, I've only been to one. I've not been as lucky to has been to as many as you, Kev, but it's well worth having a watch or attending if you can. Yeah.
Did you go
Excellent.
to the one that I missed? I can't remember.
No, I don't think so. I think actually we were both there for one of the, for that particular one.
Lucky people seeing us in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, on the news, continuing with the theme of meta hardware, this was an interesting one. So Palmer Luckey, who was the creator of the original Oculus Rift and co-founder of Oculus before it got purchased by Meta, he did something weird last week. He responded to quite a well-known VR hardware influencer known as Sadly It's Bradley. I'm not very sad. I think he's a nice guy. But yes, responded to Bradley saying that he was going to reveal a new HMD at AWE.
Well,
Now, this strikes me as odd. I'm not sure. I mean, some follow-up may have happened since, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure this was true.
well, so far as we can make out, it was him confirming that he was going to make an announcement. So he's not going to. If it's true, it was going to be an announcement on the announcement. So there wouldn't be a HMD to show. It would literally just be, yes, I'm officially announcing there is going to be a headset. If there is, luckily is known for sort of his unusual online patter sometimes. So it could be a little bit of a joke, or maybe it's something connected to his new company. And is it Anduril?
Well, Anduril was a weapons company, so I'm not
Exactly. So connect to a drone to your VR headset.
possibly. But considering it was purely a reply in a tweet to an influencer's tweet, I'm I'm pretty skeptical. I'm pretty sure it was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke, just like get myself some attention, kind of. But I could be wrong, and Palmer could be back with something new. A lot of people have said a lot of things about Palmer over the years, but to me, he's always been a pretty nice guy. I've got no issue with him. I don't take any interest in his online persona, nor do I take any interest in anything he does outside of VR. That's up for debate by everybody else. I don't care. But what I do care about is someone making a new VR headset that's going to be good.
And he
So
has just made a new Game Boy, hasn't he, as well? He made a cool
yeah,
little Game Boy.
yeah, I like the look of it.
Yeah. So,
As a retro gamer myself, quite extensively, I'd be interested. Palmer, send me free stuff. Anyway, moving on. We're sticking with hardware again. This one is an expert prediction that I made last week. Just saying. So the PSVR 2 PC adapter. Now, last week I said this was going to launch at $50, and I followed that by saying there was no official confirmation. It was just my expert knowledge on the subject matter. And then about an hour later, official confirmation came, and it's $50.
yeah. So Sony came right out with it, didn't they? 50 pounds or $60 for the PSVR 2 PC adapter, which is going to launch on the 7th of August. So a couple of months to go.
No, this is nice. It is, in my mind, it's basically Sony clearing house, right? They've not got much coming in terms of VR, and doing this allows them to open a new market for their existing stock of PlayStation VR 2. I'm not going to say that the headset's been abandoned, but it's looking pretty close.
Half-Life VR, Half-Life Alex on PSVR 2 now. Woo!
Yeah, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, PSVR 2 is a lovely headset. I think it's a great headset, but there's nothing there. So now there is, if you're willing to put an extra $50 in.
But also, you don't get all the PSVR 2 features either. So
Yeah,
you're not going to get HDR. You're not going to get eye tracking, although the foveated rendering will work. There's no headset haptics. There's just the basic rumble, and you don't get the adaptive triggers either. So you're losing out on quite a few of the PSVR 2 features, which people bought the headset for originally in the first place.
it does make it pretty similar though, in line with a Valve Index, right? In terms of
Yeah, yeah.
hardware specification and that, and it's half the price of a Valve Index. So I wouldn't say no. That's what I'm saying.
Well, there we go.
There we go. So next up, we're moving on to some software news, and we're talking about Netflix now. Now, Netflix have an app. They don't have an app. They have an app. They don't have an app. They have an app. They don't have an app for VR. Various different headsets. Pete, this one is a bit strange.
Yes, essentially, Meta are going to allow Netflix to be viewed through their Quest browser. Now, previously, as you so eloquently pointed out, that Netflix does have an official app on the Quest store, but it was launched in 2019 and never updated since. So it still runs on 480p resolution. If you wanted to try and use the Quest browser, after in the last few years, you couldn't. Meta had blocked it. There was no way to do so. Now the app is good. The the Netflix store is going to be unlocked, so you can actually watch. You can stream Netflix through your Quest browser. Simple as that. So if you really want to, if that's something you really need to have, you can do that.
So this, to me, smacks of a similar issue that other platform holders have found in VR, that they've gone in and actually, you know what, the audience numbers, it doesn't make sense to continually invest in. They were there at the start in anticipation of something big happening, and then something big didn't happen because, as we all know, the growth of VR is a slow burn. And so these large companies were cutting their investment in it because the audience just wasn't there yet. Can't blame them. Can't blame a lot of them, right? That's not, they're there for numbers. It's a numbers game. But at the same time, cinematic video viewing in VR is quite popular. It is. I personally, I'm not a huge fan. I've got a lovely TV. I would rather watch with my friends and family, but there's a lot of people who do enjoy watching movies on a big virtual screen in VR. So my take on this is that Meta realized it would be a blow to not have Netflix compatibility. So Meta are fixing the problem that Netflix refused to see.
Yeah, yeah. It's very clearly that because there's been a lot of online sort of chatter about people wanting the native Netflix app to be updated for high resolution. So this is the simplest workaround, isn't it?
So do let us know if you do enjoy watching videos and films from Netflix in your VR headset. Like I say, I'm not the biggest champion of this, but I do think it's a nice feature to have. I'm pretty sure, Pete, you agree with me on that.
I would agree with, yeah, yeah. Again, I don't really watch a lot of movies in VR, but it's a nice additional thing to have.
There we go. Talking of additional things to have, our last story this week is a new-ish game coming to VR. Hitman 3 VR Reloaded
Yeah,
is one of the
the
long stories.
reloaded is the primary word there because, as you may already know, Hitman 3 VR launched a couple of years ago, back in 2021, actually during the pandemic for PSVR, and then followed by PC VR. But it never came to Quest. So the developer, or was it IO Interactive, have announced that they're completely rebuilding it for Quest. Rebuilt from the ground up, and it's going to have a summer launch. We don't know a date, but it's going to be a summer launch. So,
But it's XR Games that are handling this new version, right?
possibly, yes. I can't 100% remember.
Pretty sure it is. British studio XR Games. They made Angry Birds VR and Double Tap,
Yes.
uh, Zombieland. And what was the thing they did recently that was also very popular? Anyway, they did something else recently that was also very popular. But XR Games, nice guys. I know a lot of people that works at the
Yeah.
company. They've done some good stuff, and yeah. So there is a debate online as to why this is Quest only. There's a lot of people suggesting that the original Hitman 3 VR wasn't great and should be fixed first. We're not going to dive into that. That's for you guys to go and have a discussion with your friends. What we are going to say is more big names come into VR, more big IPs, big franchises, and whatever else is always going to be a good thing as long as they are enjoyable, as long as they are making use of the VR. And with IO Interactive having gone to XR Games, who do have some good titles under their belt,
Mhm.
maybe this is where we'll go. Maybe this is what we'll see.
Yes, hopefully they'll fix a few of the movement mechanics and a few of the other bits and pieces that were complained about because of PlayStation Move primarily, wasn't it? So it wasn't the greatest control system, so that should be improved and enhanced upon for the Quest version. But again, it's only mentioned Quest 3. There's been no mention of any other Quest headsets.
We did discuss this a few weeks ago. Regular viewers will remember that maybe the Quest 3 is taken over. There's a few games now that have only been announced for Quest 3, not Quest 2, and certainly not Quest 1. So maybe the sun is beginning to set on the Quest 2, which, to be fair, it did have a long run. So in terms of VR at least. So, but yeah, see what happens at that Meta Connect with the potential rumored, suggested Quest 3S.
That's probably going to be the big announcement, or what everyone's expecting anyway.
Indeed. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for watching. We'd love to hear from you all about these or any other subjects in XR. We chat basically all the time about XR and sometimes do some work as well. But feel free to reach out in any of the places below. Pete's going to write them all out and it's going to be lovely. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you all again next week.